They took their cat for wandering. Her rescue video sparked fury against the HOA's cruelty. In the quiet suburban neighborhood of Riverbend, Arizona, where tidy homes sat along shaded streets, the Carter family had a beloved companion. Luna, a 3-year-old tabby cat with a white patch on her chest, belonged to 19-year-old Sophie Carter, a college student living with her parents, 47-year-old David, a plumber, and 45-year-old Rachel, a florist. Luna was Sophie's emotional support animal, helping her through anxiety with her soft purrs and gentle headbutts. The cat wore a pink collar with a bell, often lounging on the Carters' front porch or chasing butterflies in their small garden. Luna occasionally wandered a few houses down but always returned home, a familiar sight to neighbors who adored her. But the Riverbend Homeowners Association saw Luna as a problem. The HOA president, 63-year-old Edward Hayes, a retired accountant with a strict sense of order, had received a complaint from a resident who claimed Luna was trespassing on their property while chasing a bird. Edward pointed to a bylaw that stated, pets must remain on their owner's property at all times to prevent nuisance. It was a rule rarely enforced. Other cats and dogs roamed freely, but Edward had a personal dislike for cats, calling them pests, and saw Luna as an opportunity to enforce his authority. In mid-February 2025, Edward sent the Carters a letter, citing the bylaw and demanding that they keep Luna indoors at all times or face a $1,000 fine for pet trespassing. The letter also warned that failure to comply would result in removal of the animal. Sophie was heartbroken. Luna loved the outdoors, and keeping her inside felt cruel. She called Edward, explaining that Luna was harmless, always wore a collar, and never caused trouble. She offered to install a GPS tracker on Luna's collar to monitor her, but Edward was unyielding. "Cats don't belong outside," he snapped. "Keep her in, or we'll take her." Sophie bought a GPS tracker, but it wouldn't arrive for a few days. They didn't get the chance to use it. On a sunny Wednesday afternoon, while Sophie was at class and her parents were at work, Edward arrived at the Carters' home with an animal control officer hired by the HOA. They spotted Luna napping on the porch, lured her with a treat, and trapped her in a metal cage. Luna meowed in distress, her bell jingling as she pawed at the bars. But Edward ignored her, directing the officer to load her into a van. A neighbor, 29-year-old dog walker Mia Lopez, saw the scene and started filming, capturing Luna's cries, Edward's cold demeanor, and the officer's van driving off. She posted the video on X with the caption, "The HOA took their cat for wandering. This is wrong, has a cat taken." The video went viral, gaining 16 million views in 24 hours, with the hashtag trending nationwide. Sophie came home to find Luna gone and a fine notice taped to the door. $1,000 for pet trespassing, plus a $250 removal fee, signed by Edward Hayes. She broke down in tears, calling her parents in a panic. "They took Luna! My baby's gone!" David and Rachel rushed home, and Sophie tracked down the shelter where Luna had been taken, a 30-minute drive away. At the shelter, Sophie found Luna in a small cage, her fur matted and her eyes wide with fear. The shelter demanded a $400 reclaim fee, which the Carters paid with their savings, bringing Luna home to Sophie's tearful embrace. Mia's video sparked outrage online, with people calling the HOA's actions heartless and abusive. Local news stations in Phoenix covered the story, interviewing a sobbing Sophie who said, "Luna's my support animal. They had no right." The reporter also spoke to an animal welfare expert who warned that such stress could cause lasting trauma to pets. The community rallied behind the Carters. Mia organized a protest outside the HOA office, where dozens of residents gathered with their pets, holding signs reading, "Cats aren't pests," and "Stop HOA cruelty." Some brought cat toys, donating them to the shelter in Luna's name. A GoFundMe page to help the Carters cover the fines and fees raised $7,000 in a week, with donors leaving messages like, "This is animal abuse," and "Justice for Luna." The story gained national attention, with outlets like NBC and the Arizona Republic running headlines like, "HOA seizes family cat for wandering," "Sparks fury," and "Arizona student fights HOA to save her pet." The Carters decided to sue the HOA, determined to hold Edward accountable and protect other pet owners. They hired a lawyer, Jessica Nguyen, who argued that the HOA's actions constituted theft, emotional distress, and animal cruelty, and that the pet rule was arbitrarily enforced as other animals roamed without issue. The lawsuit sought $12,000 in damages, the removal of the fine, and an injunction to prevent pet removals. The case drew a crowd to the courtroom, with supporters wearing cat ears in solidarity. Jessica presented Mia's video as evidence, along with vet reports showing Luna's stress-induced hair loss. Sophie took the stand, her voice trembling. "Luna helps me breathe. They took her like she meant nothing." Edward, representing the HOA, showed no remorse. He claimed the pet rule was meant to prevent nuisances, and that the Carters' failure to control Luna justified the removal. He produced the bylaw and argued that the HOA had the right to enforce its rules, even with direct action. The judge, a strict interpreter of HOA contracts, ruled in favor of the HOA, stating that the bylaw was legally binding and the Carters had been warned. The fine was upheld, and the Carters were ordered to pay the HOA's legal fees, an additional $4,000 burden. Sophie left the courtroom, clutching Luna's collar, her parents comforting her as they walked out. The ruling sparked outrage online, with number cat taken trending again, this time with calls for pet protection laws against HOAs. Animal rights groups and mental health advocates condemned the decision, arguing that it disregarded the role of support animals. In Riverbend, Edward remained HOA president, issuing new rules banning all outdoor pets, with fines increased to $2,000. The Carters kept Luna indoors, but Sophie struggled with guilt, seeing Luna paw at the door to go outside. Riverbend, once a pet-friendly haven, turned into a battleground, with residents fearing for their beloved companions under Edward's harsh control.